I've got a large collection of arcade games. I wonder how much it would cost to complete all of them if it was a real arcade. Only one way to find out. Now that Halloween is over, we're going to get back on track with the Midway Memory Lane tour and have a look at the sequel to Smash TV.
Total Carnage!
In a world of fourth wall breaks and clearly not Nazis, an army of mutants is growing, with plans to dominate the world, and only two steroid-addicted men with creepy smiles can save the world. The American way.
America, fuck yeah! Coming again to save the motherfucking day, yeah!
As the unrelated sequel to Smash TV, Total Carnage keeps the same gameplay with a brand new visual style and writing that's so much of a Poe it's akin to that of a 10-year-old who's obsessed with action movies, or a parody of them, it's hard to tell. Believe it or not, there is actually a more developed story, though not much, for this game. After the War of 1999, remember that one? Reporters go to the war zone for scoops but begin to disappear quickly. Your commander orders you, the Doomsday Squad, to save the citizens and defeat the new army. Your objectives? 1. Blast through the enemy forces and find General Hey, down in front! 2. Destroy unknown Lith Orms and Ginger Hair Lady, rescue News Report and other civilians. From the get-go, the game shows you a rare mechanic in arcade games. A password system. Throughout the game, you'll discover passwords that can be entered at the very start of the game and you can continue where you left off, even getting to the end of the game with the best ending. Oh, that wasn't hard. So, let's take a look at how much it cost us. So, to start a 2-player game at £1 each for 1 credit, it cost us... You didn't even fall for that a little, did you? Before you play, the game gives you some quick-fire tips on how to play. The controls are the same as Smash TV, twin-stick shooter, but now you get one additional button that drops bombs. These are limited in use until you pick up more, but they can be used to destroy planes, enemies and landmines. You can see how many bombs you've got on your where's the HUD? Is it off screen? No? Shit. So it turns out the game is a little buggy on this collection. From what we saw, the HUD would sometimes vanish at the start and commands wouldn't always be recognised when entering a password. One reset later and we're good to go. The HUD consists of your character, either Captain Carnage or Major Mayhem, the number of bombs you have, score, and how many rapports you've saved. The first level isn't so bad. You might be expecting the extreme difficulty from Smash, and you'd be right to, oh trust me, you will be right to. But it builds gradually over time. In fact, right now it's somewhat easy. Small squads of enemies, easy to spot people to save, a selection of powerful pickups, and even a shortcut. Shortly after the shortcut, a cutscene plays with the first appearance of the antagonist, General Achboob. Fun fact, he's voiced by Ed Boon. Continuing on, there will be an ensemble of colourful and strange looking enemies. Then at the end of the level, you fight a boss, and I can tell you from experience, if you think the levels drag on, the bosses are much worse. The first boss is Orcus, who I'm convinced is the child of 2 Smash bosses, and is a complete prick. It constantly hops around the screen firing twin guns and trying to land on you. Tricky to hit, but when you do hit it, it takes such a beating you feel like you're doing fuck all to them, even with power weapons, and each limb can be targeted individually, but each have their own set of life as well. Eventually a limb might catch fire and that means it's half dead, and even then still takes a huge beating. As you can imagine, destroying a limb removes an attack from the boss, but it'll often be replaced with a brand new one, like a spray of tongues and burning nostrils. This second phase, I swear, takes even longer to kill, made even longer by the fact that you need to destroy the stumps that was once its arms to reach its hideous but still better looking than mine face. And even then the fight just drags on and on, as you need to destroy every fucking part of him. The small head, the eyes, the lips, the top of its head, the rest of its face, and... Wait, that did it? We finally won! After 4 minutes and 37 seconds! Why is an arcade boss this long? And why is it so hard? This is the very first boss of the game and it has so many phases. And it keeps pulling attacks out of its arse. Because of these factors, the battle became more of a fight with motivation rather than a fight for fun. God, this is going to be a long session, isn't it? At the end of the level, bonus scores are handed out and your scores are tallied. The player with the most score strikes a pose while the other is jealous about it. And then on to the... Don't ever do that again. Ochboob then mocks you with fourth wall breaks, and the game tells you to run away if you've played the prequel. Then level 2 starts. God, why is everything so drawn out? By now you get the gist of the game. What if Michael Bay directed G.I. Joe? Virtually everything needs to be blown up or shot, and bullets will be flying everywhere. Of course, you can easily be as much of a victim of this destruction as the enemies are, as you and most enemies will die in a single hit. And I have no doubt in my mind that you watching at home have also seen how fucking ridiculously difficult this is. Let me tell you, it really is. Enemies are literally able to spawn from anywhere. Claustrophobia is bound to set in as the screen will be filled with metal, explosions, and shiny man meat about 90% of the time, and often you will bump into something because you are looking the other way or an explosion is blocking your view. Occasionally, an event will happen that also results in death upon failure, such as the game raining nuke bomb boxes on you. You need to touch them to deactivate them, but you're quickly overwhelmed with numbers, and more often than not... In short, the game really wants to kill you. It's not all bad though, the game does give you opportunities to get extra lives, but that's like being offered a beautiful looking cyanide cake. At times you'll enter a warp to get to a bonus stage, and in this particular case, extra lives. Doing so gives you a password and a task to finish. The challenges are just as hard as the regular levels, filled to the brim with shit that wants to end you and a slim chance of surviving. At the end of this bonus stage, you need to destroy as many jeeps as you can. Obviously, being hit by a jeep kills you, but just to make things harder, the game decides to occasionally throw in a nuke box to spice things up. Completing the stage, you get bonus points and an exit back to the current level. Later on in the level is a similar concept to the jeep destruction, where you need to place your bombs next to jets in order to call in an airstrike. Which is fun and all, but the explosions block your view, thus making it hard to navigate the moving mines. Yes, we can use the bombs to blow them up, but we wanted to make sure we had enough bombs to get all the jets. Needless to say, we died quite a lot here trying to use our limited weapon to fill an unknown demolition quota. Then we had another bonus stage, which was reminiscent of Smash TV, and here is where I thought I could best describe the difficulty. Playing this level, it felt easier because it felt like Smash rather than Carnage. In Smash, there was only 4 areas, typically, that the enemy could spawn from. In this layout, while it was tough, the difficulty was adaptable. You could build strategies, you could develop techniques to fight back more efficiently, and it felt more like a challenge. In Carnage, you can still somewhat do this, but the difficulty feels more like it's hard for the sake of being hard. The amount of enemies it throws at you in such a small space, or filling it with hazards that are almost unavoidable and are meant to catch you off guard, give a strong impression that the developers want to kill the player, and the game is made for the sole purpose of being a milker. In fact, in this very level, I believe is a segment which proves my hypothesis. At one point you're captured by the enemies, simply because the game says so. You then have to button bash for a set time to avoid being killed. Despite our efforts, eventually the demand got too much and we were unable to beat the minigame. Now, in other games, if you fail a minigame, what happens? You don't get bonus points, you don't get bonus weapons, so what? Move on. But in this game, guess what? If you fail that minigame, regardless how many lives you had before being captured, all of them are lost and you need to put in another credit to continue. What horse and bullshit is that? As if to try and make it up to you, the game gives you a chance to be greedy and collect a bunch of gems before ending the level. Oh yeah, that pixelated replica of a valuable item makes up for the very real coin I placed into your machine because you killed me in a shitty way, you inbred fucknugget! Level 3 looks a lot like level 2 so far. I feel like I've said a lot of bad stuff about the game so far. its tanky and unbalanced bosses, its level length feeling like slugs along with a repetitiveness in its design, and its clear intent of being a money milker. Is the game all bad though? Not entirely. There is some entertainment to be had in its mayhem and sense of humour, so long as you've got the money or the experience to get the most out of it. One of the better aspects of the game is its weapons. They're big, loud, and extremely destructive. Almost all of the weapons are returning favourites from Smash TV, with a few slight changes and a smaller number of new ones. The standard machine gun is your all-rounder starting gun. As is tradition, the spread gun has had its range issue improved with a closer camera, the flamethrower with its piss-weak range, and the nukes are back, except this time they're called bingos. The new weapons include the blue flamethrower, which is superior to the regular in every way. This thing? I haven't a clue what it's shooting, but it shoots faster than a machine gun, and I get to make the joke that I'm blue balling the enemy.
I don't know why you people are watching this shit anymore.
There is also a version you can get that shoots blue balls as well as rockets, but there is a part of me that wants to say this is maybe another bug from the Midway collection. I'm honestly not entirely sure, someone please comment and let me know. Finally, there are the smart bombs. They're pretty meh against the enemies, however, as stated before, their main purpose is to destroy the environment like landmines and sealed doors. With regards to the pickups, there's a very small amount, with an even smaller drop rate. A pair of trainers increases your speed, an orbital that's only good at melee range, and invincibility which you're granted on a respawn, but can also pick up with these sweatbands, I guess. The overall look of the game is good too. The graphics have seen an upgrade with the emphasis on the gore, and everything is much more defined. The gameplay death animations are even better, and there's a bigger variety for both you and the enemy. Sounds that are so in your face and overstate the fact that you're in a war zone. In fact, they do it so much, I can't talk about the music because I can't hear it. Listening to the soundtrack on YouTube, I'm not missing much. Sometimes the tunes are okay, but they lack a sense of oomph, at times not really complementing what's happening on the screen well. Level 3 is also the final level of the game. After fighting through an almost copy and paste layout and advancing through some seriously overcrowded traps, we reach the second and final boss. Yes, you heard right, level 2 didn't have a boss, instead it was that electric chair bollocks. If you thought the first boss took forever, oh wait until you see this fucker. The final boss is, of course, Akboob, with not one, not two, but 5 fucking different phases. Each one also taking an arse-numbingly long time to kill as you watch the life bar draining as a symbolic representation of yours. Alright, let's get into this. Akboob. Phase 1. Akboob flies around in a giant metal chair which starts off firing an absolute spew of lasers, but then after a while decides to start throwing rockets at you that either home a little bit or home a lot. Again, the explosions block your view and trying to avoid the rockets is a frustrating endeavour and he takes forever to kill. Phase 2. Heads grow out of the chair and burst blue balls at you, which you have a decent chance of avoiding by standing still. Phase 3. A giant Akboob head that fires even more blue balls at you. Oh, and by the way, he has a life bar so big it doesn't fit on the screen and only goes down when you've done enough damage in total. You can also place a bomb on him to call an airstrike, which does a lot of damage. Much better. Phase 4. Do you honestly want to take a guess? A giant head of Hitler, of course. Same crap as before, only with an even bigger life bar on top of the blue balls and sending out moving landmines. And finally, Phase 5. Would you believe me if I told you I was another Nazi? Whoops. Would you believe me if I told you it was another Nazi, but also the Red Skull? With an even bigger life bar, blue balls, landmines, and sneezing homing rockets? Jesus Christ, why is war so hard? You can and will die to these assholes a lot, and even if you beat him, there's still one more task to do. Now before I show you what it is, I need to add some clarification. This message comes up for a few seconds before the boss ends. Akka asked me if the game was over and I looked away from the screen to address it and missed this message completely. With this in mind, here's what we thought happened. We saw the clones of Akboob and every enemy we've touched up until this point has killed us, we avoided them, Akboob got away, and we got told we suck. Our final scores were tallied and the Pleasure Dome awaits. If you've got enough keys. You've been collecting keys throughout the game. If you get 220 by the end of the game, you get to enter the Pleasure Dome. We didn't, so it was an unsatisfying ending. The bad guy got away, and we don't get an award. But you didn't think I was going to cook you with the best ending, did you? Using a password on the internet to get the keys we need and have Akboob sent to the chair. Fuck you, you prick. We get to enter the Pleasure Dome. Goodies await along with some Easter eggs, some bonus points, and what could easily be a Brazzers screenshot. So, Total Carnage is a decent time despite the clear cash grabbing mindset by its developers. It's got a unique charm, look and personality to it. Its mindless yet entertaining violence and action is engaging and certainly makes it a memorable experience. Its increased difficulty with its flawed execution could be a turn off for some players, and may at times become more frustrating than fun. Of the two, I would say Smash TV is better developed and would choose that over this to play every time. But once again, YouTube offers proof that Total Carnage can be completed in a single credit, so if you're looking for a bigger challenge, then give this a play. If you're not, I'd say give it a try so you can at least say you've experienced gaming history. Whatever your motivation, just be sure to bring a metric shit ton of money. How much exactly? Let's look at the bill. At £1 per credit, we start at £2 for a 2-player game. A total of 62 deaths while fighting and 2 deaths because of a bullshit minigame means we used a total of £64 on 64 credits, not including the time where we had to reset the game because the HUD system glitched out. So despite the increased difficulty, we somehow managed to complete it by spending less than we did on Smash. Maybe we picked up some techniques without knowing. Moving on to the grand totals, we have reached 1154 credits used and £949 spent. We are just £51 away from hitting a milestone. But will it be the next episode? Stay tuned to find out. And that was Total Carnage. Thanks for watching, everyone. Join us next time where we'll be fighting robots in 45-degree angles only.